Are we back? Are we so totally back? Are we back?
Hi, I'm Tiana. I'm ill. Hi.
What up, everybody? It's your girl, Miss Tiana Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new to this channel, thank you for clicking on that link. It's been so long since I've done an intro. The last video I posted, I was literally like mid crash out, losing my mind. I looked horrible. I looked ashy. I looked like I didn't shower. I probably didn't. I was going through. I think when I uploaded that last video, it had been maybe a couple of months since the fire happened, and I just felt so unlike myself, just so unfamiliar, so uncomfortable, so what the fuck is this? You could see it in the video, and I left it up because that's real. And I'm not the type of person to just show y'all the glitz and the glam, because we know we love a glitz and glam, but that's not what was happening at the time. Right now, I feel significantly better. Right now, I'm in a completely different space. Right now, I have a different vibe completely. And right now, I'm happy. I am happy. We're ever stressed because we can't afford anything. But we thrive. We thrive and we survive. Last night, the Lord woke me up. Might not have been the Lord. It could be insomnia. But last night I woke up at like 4 a.m. and just I was tired of having excuses as to why I wasn't doing this in the first place, because I used to come on here and make videos and content all the time, and just like a whole herd of people that's going to be rushing in, TikTok was giving me the bag. Like, it takes a lot longer and more consistency to build up on YouTube, and I just didn't have the patience. And it's interesting because now it's like, bet you have the patience now. Even for YouTube, no matter how rich it gets me, my main intention is to just spill my heart to myself, really. It's like video diary, but also just get all this out my system, because it's in, and I haven't really had space to talk about any of this except for my therapist, and I think she's tired. She also encouraged me to come back to YouTube, so I think she's tired. So let's give her a break, shall we? I started therapy maybe a month after the fire happened, and I was adamant about not doing it. I'm not sure why, but I was like, I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know who to contact. I think it was just the finding a therapist situation that I couldn't fathom doing. Thank God for my darling Bree. She looked on psychologytoday.com. No, this is not an ad. I don't even think they know I exist. But she went on that website, found who was able to service from where I am, and I have been with her. I think it's been a year. If it's not been a year, it's going to be a year. But it's been a year of me spilling my tea, spilling my guts, letting her in the ugly truths and the ugly unknown. And it's been so great. It's been so great. But at first it was not, because there were so many things that she was pointing out that I was like, nah, until I started to exercise them. So therapy, it triggered a lot of moments for me. There were a lot of things that I would just deal with or think is like, oh, that just happens sometimes, that my therapist point out, be like, that's gaslighting. That's manipulation. That's projection. Clockwork. Like, every time I would tell like a regular story, Shorty would be like, that person sounds like they're manipulating you. And I'm just like, does it? The biggest thing that therapy showed me was like how naive I was, and how I didn't expect people close to me who said they loved me to hurt me. And just have to be like, tell me more about that, because I thought someone was just being stupid. I didn't know someone was using my likeness and my unlikeness against me. Who would have thunk? The main goal for therapy, even with the fire happening, was not only processing that. I felt guilty and I felt saddened, and she encouraged me not to blame myself, to figure out what I needed to move on, or figure out what I needed to be okay, and figure out what I needed to still feel like myself and not lose myself in the trauma. It was a question I had never received before. I had never been asked my needs. I had never been asked, well, what do you need? Unless it was in regards to the Lord. Like, what do you need the Lord to do? But never like, what does Tiana need day to day? What does Tiana need in situations like this? What does Tiana need? ... I didn't know. For years, decades even, what I needed was what the Lord said I could have, and that was that. If I had other needs and they didn't align, then that was too bad. Sometimes you need a lot. Sometimes I needed a good tapping on the ass and couldn't get it because the Lord said no. And it's like, oh, that sucks. Now I get it all the time. I just wanted to tell a joke. It took months for me to understand the concept, but after a bunch of journaling and a bunch of no's and a bunch of let's try it this way, I was able to figure out what my needs are. 2023, I spent a lot of the year figuring out how I like to be dated, courted, how I like to be loved, what I loved about myself. Like that self-love tapped in, but I wasn't sure what I needed. A lot of things that were basic, like communication, honesty, reciprocation, I didn't get from people. And I'm always thinking that's just their personality, that's just their vibe. There was a lot of things that I kind of let slide before therapy that now it's like, that's not going to work. Lack of communication. If you say, hey, let's make plans, and I'm like, yeah, let's make plans. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want it to be? And they have nothing, then we're doing nothing. We're doing nothing. I often overextend myself when people don't really have themselves figured out, but I do. And I try to work with that. But sometimes it's like I can't do too much here because I'll combust. I would do a lot of emotional jumping jacks, or I would do a lot of trying to decode or understand what someone's feeling. And that's not something you can do. That's not my job either. Therapist pointed out, like, if people don't tell you what they need or what's wrong with them, there's nothing you can really do until they share that. And it's not my job to figure it out, to be like, well, this might be this and this might be that. Like, doing the mental gymnastics on someone else's behalf is nuts. Like, I'm not in their brain. I had to learn to not try to decode someone's shitty behavior and just be like, okay, they're being shitty today. How do I move? What do I need? I need to not be in the midst of that bullshit. And there it is. When I say I want support, I want care, I want people to reach out, I do want it from people who are emotionally mature and able to kind of converse in a way that makes sense to me, and a lot of people don't. If you are a person who likes to snap and clap and say mean things in hopes of encouraging someone, I'm not gonna fucking talk to you. It usually happens when I over support or I overextend myself, especially to people that didn't ask. I ended up being empty, pouring from an empty cup and being drained, and I ended up snapping on people. I ended up being mean or isolating, just because like I overstimulated and I did too much, and it's caused people to be like, girl, what's wrong with you? Or it caused people to see like a very angry side of me that I'm not really proud of, but I didn't understand what was going on until therapy. So therapy said, yeah, you keep overextending yourself and nobody asks. You can just tend to yourself and support the people that support you, and they don't make it confusing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need things to be confusing. Things cannot be confusing right now. My brain hurts, so that'll be good. A lot of like hard lessons in therapy as well. Like, I don't have to make things work if they're not working for me. I was in a relationship for like 7 months, but it came to a point where it wasn't working, and I felt myself trying to pour from an empty cup and fulfill needs that I knew I couldn't. So I had to like just do my thing. Life happens, things don't work, and regardless, that was a very healing and safe time for me. I think those are the two main words that come from that experience. But it led to me probably not wanting to be in a monogamous relationship again. We'll get into that. The act of making hard decisions like ending a relationship or moving or investing in your own space or taking a risk on your career or starting school again, like all those things. Like growing up under Christianity, it was like you ask God first, and if things like kind of look good, sound good, and feel good, then the Lord is approving, you go about it. I never understood the concept of ask the Lord, see what he says, because the nigga didn't really talk. This is not shade. I hope I didn't offend anybody, but be offended. Fuck that. Anyway, and my therapist called out how I had 3 parents, my mom, my dad, and the Lord. And one of them didn't chat. They would speak through other people or in dreams and stuff like that. But nobody was telling me shit I wanted to hear. And my dreams were about me being chased by the bear in Five Nights at Freddy's. So it's like, is that the Lord? Therapy helped me stop relying on any of my parents for any of my life decisions and really just tap into self and ask myself, what do I want? What do I want to experience? And it made me realize that a lot of my experience as a human on this earth with this life, I didn't really prioritize what I wanted. I didn't even ask myself what I wanted. I just did and would do because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Didn't really check in and be like, is this what I want to do? And if it were things I didn't want to do, I would have to do them. Having my own autonomy at this point, it was lit, but I wasn't used to it. I had to get used to making decisions for myself. So much anxiety I have over making decisions for myself and it not be approved. And the only person that needs to approve it is me. And I don't need to do things that feel like they're betraying myself, because for so long, doing things I actually wanted to do for myself was the missing key in self-love this whole time. While I've been trying to understand myself and learn about myself and be comfortable with myself, the one thing that was missing was like, all right, well, don't betray yourself. Don't put yourself in situations you don't want to be in. Don't put yourself in situations you're going to have to recover from. Don't do the things you don't want to do. Don't go places you don't want to go. Don't be in relationships with people you don't actually like. Don't take a chance on something because that might be good for me. Like if it's a no, then it's a no. If your body's not in it, if your heart's not in it, don't just do it because someone might say, yeah, it's good for you. Or someone said it's good for you. We are consumed with a whole bunch of content that says you should. And I'm tired of that, honestly. I'd rather make content that says, well, this is what happened for me. So if you can relate, this might help, but it's your experience and your perspective, only you know. I like that more than you should, and the pointing of the fingers and just being weird. I like that a lot more. I can't express enough how just having someone to either speak to or do an exercise with, because there isn't one way to be therapized. There isn't one method of therapy. There's art therapy. There's sound therapy. There's different types of therapy, but just getting all the negative energy out of your system and like talking it out or walking it out or whatever it out so that you can get back to like the basics of you was so amazing and so helpful. And I'm not about to start crying the first video I come back on here. No, it's a level of self-love I never even knew existed, where I am my number one fan and I figure out all the things and the kinks, the twists, the turns in my brain, why they're there, and managing them or handling it or doing away with whatever can be done away with. It's really just about the betterment of self and just wanting to stick around a little while longer. I feel like people get their personal issues and emotions in the way of that just being the end goal. It's just to be better for self and thus being better for others. Like that's the main mission. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like chatting. End up chatting anyway. Sometimes she'll point out stuff that I'm just like, I don't know about that. Like I don't always agree with the ideas said, but I run along with it until I come to like an understanding of what she meant, or an understanding of how two things I wouldn't put together connect. There's a lot of that. But yeah, I think that's it. I recorded my first video. Anyway, how do I wrap this up? I love therapy. I'm glad I did it. I'm a whole different person, in my opinion, in the best way. Not as stressed about specific things like I used to. And in a time like this where I'm like traumatized and starting over, I'm so glad I listened to my ex and to my bestie to just go ahead and get a therapist so I can just really be aligned and have goals and heal and figure shit out while I'm starting over. Like there was no better time for me. It might be a lot of energy for someone else, because there were moments I'm like, I think I'm doing a lot. And even my therapist be like, yeah, you're doing a lot. What I appreciate about her is that she'll clock it. She'll be like, you seem like you're in a sad mood, or you definitely sound like you had a hard week. how's this going? Or I saw you did this, or you mentioned this. How was that? Or how was this? Or how was the date? Or something like that. Something to remind me to tap into those wonderful moments and not get so lost and drown in despair, because I am quick to do that. Tools like that, man, like just getting the tools to just fucking make it to the next day, to the next week, to the next month, and not to just make it, but also be present and see the blessings and the fun and the free will in the day to day. Like, sure, I could bed rot, or I could play games I haven't played in so long. I could discover something that I've thought about but didn't really have the drive to take action on. Like, I can do whatever I want to do, and I can especially do the things that I love or would love for me. Why the fuck not? And that was great. That's like the best thing I took away from therapy. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. It took me a long time to, I love how I feel like I'm a preacher that's like wrapping up their biblical notes to wrap it the fuck up without the cussing. Can I do the wine now? A nice yap reward. Really want to enjoy my own yap fest, and I just want to chat about myself. I'm very self-centered. What can I say? I haven't collabed with anybody on any platform because no. It's all about me, baby. It's all about me. All right. Well, this is the first video of many. We're going to get into me having a couple of partners, me not wanting marriage or children, me wanting to pursue art but not really sure how, me being in like $20,000 in debt and trying to figure out how to get the fuck out of that. The concept of body changing as you mature is not talked about enough, but we will. It's so great to see y'all. If you have any comments, questions, or maybe because I don't give a fuck, if you can relate, leave some comments below. If you can relate, if you enjoyed the video, that's all I care about. That's all I want to know. Anything else, shut the hell up. I'm happy to be back. I don't know if you're allowed to swear, but a bitch be swearing. After everything I've been through, I'm cussing. I lost my Corey Kenshin merch. Both shirts. Limited edition. Never returning. I'm cussing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Leave some comments below. Make sure you share it with somebody that's like, bitch, Tiana is back. And I'll see y'all next video. Bye.
Yeah, yeah.